Simultaneous. Well, that didn't work.
You don't want to share.
Okay, I said unmute. Why is it still muted? Have you got anywhere to turn up
That's for
the?
me to talk. That's for me to talk.
Okay.
It's-
Okay,
Should we get going? Do you want me to
Yeah.
start up, or are you gonna do wins? and stuff
yeah,
first,
I'll
or-
do announcements and then we'll let you roll in.
Okay.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Jante, can you hear me?
Yes, we can finally hear you.
Okay, sorry, I had you guys on mute because we were waiting for some agents to come. We don't have very many in here, so we're waiting for some more. To come in, so we're gonna start now. And then Zoom, if you guys have anything to say, just unmute yourself and we can hear you. But does anyone have any wins that they want to share today? Anyone?
Park City one, mountain biking.
Yeah, my nephew's, yeah, it's not a business, but my nephew's mountain bike team took first on Saturday.
Oh, that's exciting. Jake with Real Advantage's nephew, bike, mountain bike team took first place on Saturday. So that's exciting. Anyone else? Haley, do you have a win? A win? Yes.
Put me on the spot.
I know.
Sit down.
Yes. You know what? I'll let you think. Okay. Anyone else have a win? One more. Someone unmute yourself. Jim, do you have a win?
I am sure I do,
Okay.
but I don't know what it is.
You know, I bet you do have lots of wins. So, you know, I think you guys just, you know, are trying to be modest. So we'll just get through this. So Nick is gonna do our GPS and 411 with us today. And then next week, we're having our traditional chili cook-off right after team meeting. We do have a sign-up sheet for people to sign up to bring chili, some like chips and toppings. So if you can sign up to bring stuff, that would be awesome. I think the only people that have signed up so far are the staff members. So we'll send those out, send it out again, but that'll be in the recap email with a link to sign up. And then very exciting, this is like our, here, Nick, who is this? Tell us about this person.
This is one of the two Robins that we thought might be coming to family reunion, and they officially announced that it was Mel. It was a hotly debated item whether it would be Tony or Mel. We're so excited. So I don't know a whole lot about Mel, but I've listened to her podcast. It's
Okay,
amazing,
perfect. Yeah,
right?
I couldn't remember
So-
her name, so Nick had to step in. I remembered it was a province, but I couldn't remember her first name. So,
She's taking her talents to Las Vegas though, and coming to visit our family reunion. So if you're not going, I don't know why you're not going, because it's just down the street.
yes,
We can carpool.
yeah, it's true. And this is my first year going, so come and be my friend and hang out with me.
Yeah.
Okay, so she will be there. And tickets are selling out. So I got a couple of tickets on Thursday and I had to keep refreshing the screen because it was saying the tickets were sold out. So, if you are thinking about going, definitely get your ticket now, especially now that she was announced. And tickets pricing goes up on next Wednesday, right?
Yep, November 1st.
Okay, so get your tickets right away. And that is a QR code to scan if you want to book your ticket.
Maybe that's what.
That's the last one. Hey,
Okay, we'll run with that.
hey, thanks.
Awesome, thanks, Jess. All right, can you guys hear me, and or is it too loud? Does it sound like I'm yelling at you? Okay, good, that's not my intent. Okay, cool, I'm excited to work with you guys. So, last week, we did the business planning clinic. How many people were there? Maybe in this office, maybe at a different office, yeah? Awesome, love it. Cool, so glad you got a chance to do that. Obviously, got some great stuff from Bill Pipes. And then we went into the business planning clinic portion where we actually got our stuff together. This is intended to basically be a time where we and all three offices are doing it. So we're doing it across the county. We wanted to make sure that we all get our GPSs and our 411s in place so that we can take action on them. So I'm just curious, real quick, anyone who had some nuggets that they got from last week's class or last week's business planning clinic? Did any of you find something that surprised you? Something you're excited about for next year? What did you get out of that? Anything? Yeah.
I think it's important to know what your goal is with regards to how much CI you want, so that you know how to break it down, what you actually have to do. Because if you don't, you kind of just run out of line and you don't ever get there because it's not putting numbers on paper. It's visual, at least for me, if it's visual, then I'm like, okay, hold myself accountable and do what I'm supposed to do. Otherwise, it's not gonna happen.
Totally.
Hey,
Yeah. You have something for us, Shante? Maybe not.
oh, I'm not on mute, so sorry. I hope I haven't been noisy.
Just you're great.
I actually did. I thought it was pretty fascinating. I have been striving to do a 6-figure income net since I started, and I thought it was really cool for him to be like, "We do real estate for 7 figures," and I was like, "Yeah, the heck, we do." So it's kind of simple, but like it's never really been put to me that way because we usually just are like take the next step on the ladder, but I'm like, wow, that's very true. We should be shooting for 7 figures.
Totally. Love it. Yep, so true. Think big. Begin with the end in mind, where we want to go. I love, what Mac was saying was definitely you got to know what your goal is so that you can break it down into smaller pieces that are more actionable. Yeah. So totally agree. Anything else? Any nuggets that you got? Realizations you had over the last week?
Just kind of get started, like now, today.
Get started.
Don't wait.
Love that. Awesome. Yep, that's totally true. It's little things that we do every day that build on top of each other. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Okay, cool. Well, glad it was helpful. Let's actually put these into use and not just plan them and then shove them in a drawer and pull them out a year later and see how it went. We're going to want to pull these out every single day to make sure we review where we're going. One thing, Oprah has this little thing. I should have queued it up, but that just made me think of it. Kind of all the things that you guys said made me think of it. Someone was asking Oprah, why do people have a hard time getting where they want to go? And she said, because they don't know where they want to go. If you know where you want to go, then you can take steps and your brain and your body will kind of automatically take these actions to make it happen. You have to know where it is that you want to go. So spend some time in that. Okay, we're going to jump in and then I'm going to kind of pepper in some little pieces that I've learned from a few different classes that I've taken about the 411 and the GPS. I recently got the chance. You guys know Kimber, yeah? So Kimber was teaching a class at Family Reunion this spring or this February. And it was so funny. She was nervous because her idol is Jay Papasan, which he's kind of all of our favorites, right? But he was teaching a class across the hall from her. And so she's like, dang it, like, I love Jay, but he's going to take all my people. He's going to take the whole audience, And so it's kind of funny because I went to Jay's class because I was like, hey, Kimber, we're going to divide and conquer. I'm going to go to Jay's class. Jay's class had almost no one. I was in a class of about 15. They were all crammed in Kimber's class, which I thought was so funny. I love that. But anyways, it put me in a room with Jay and 15 or 20 of us that were just talking about GPS and 411. So I'm going to share some of my notes from that because it was just a super small situation where I learned a lot from him. So we'll kind of go through that as well. So, okay, first thing we're going to do, your GPS. I don't know if you have this from last week. I know sometimes it feels like it's a little rushed. Hopefully now you've had a minute to think about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a workshop and get your GPS put together. If you already have it, that's great. If not, I've put a GPS on each of your tables. Let's fill it out together and figure out, make sure that we've got this kind of finalized. We've got it ready. We know exactly what we're going to do. So if we can't figure out what those little pieces are every day, then all we have to do is execute. One interesting thing about the GPS, it can be used to plan anything. When we plan events, we plan them on GPSs. Because GPS is just a layout. You figure out what the goal is, what the three priorities are that you're going to have to hit to make sure you get there, and then what each strategy is beneath that to make sure that you nail that particular priority. So we use these for everything. In this case, we're gonna plan our production for next year. So what is that gonna look like? So annual goal. Go ahead and scribble in what, hopefully by now, you know what that annual goal is. You go ahead and scribble in what is your annual goal.
The financial, or what is this?
I mean, it could be anything. I'm a lot better at helping you with your production goals. But you know, your GPS really is gonna be more of a general look at your business. And then we're gonna go to the next one is gonna be the 411. That's gonna break it down, and we usually include personal goals in that one. So, and some people would add, like I've seen certain people have added, say, you know, weight loss or some sort of health goal in one of their priorities. If you truly think that's going to push you to that goal, that's going to help you get to your financial goal, I think that's totally fine. You know, and there's definitely a lot of situations where that would be the case, right? So taking care of our mind and our bodies can definitely play a role in hitting those goals. So what is your goal? Who wants to share their goal? Hey. Who wants to share their 2024 goal?
Make $300,000.
$300,000, love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Have you done that before?
No.
Awesome. So it's a bigger goal than you've had in the past.
Yes, it is.
Love it. Heck yeah, that shouldn't be a problem at all.
Yeah.
What other goals? What are the rest of your goals? My goal is 100 closed units. I still haven't crossed that. So 100 closed units. We're dead set on that. Anyone else willing to share your goal? Yeah, well, I'm gonna trust that we all got our goal written down so we can move from there. So what are the 3 things that have to happen to make sure that we get there? Maybe let's start with priority number 1. As we go through here, what are the big things? So we're not talking, we're not really focused on making a to-do list, a task list. This is really a priorities list. Like, what are the 3 things that if they happen, we'll for sure hit our goal? What could those be? Now you may separate this. Sometimes people will separate it into buyers, sellers, systems. Some will split this into 3 different lead sources. So your pillars, your 3 lead pillars. So that could be database farming, cold calling, whatever that is. We got to come up with 3 big priorities that will help fuel you to your goal. Gonna give you a couple minutes to make sure you get your 3 priorities put on paper. There's still a couple writing, so go ahead and get your 3 priorities added there. All right, I'm going to share, while you're finishing that up, I'm going to share my 3 priorities, just so you kind of have an example. So my 3 priorities are lead generation, providing a world-class customer experience for our clients, and our I don't have it written out that well, but our operations. Gotta add something, but it's our operations, making sure that we can handle, making sure we built that 20-lane highway. That's probably what I should call it. Build 20-lane highway. Who has their 3 priorities that they're willing to share? Anyone on Zoom, anyone in person? Yeah. please.
Working the database in the command system, and doing that whole marketing plan, and then farming and networking.
Awesome, love it. So database, farming and networking.
Yes, like networking events.
Awesome, that's huge.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, and sometimes when you do the 3 pillars, sometimes you might break that down. Okay, here's how many units are gonna come from each one, or here's how much profit. Maybe that's a better way to look at it because your goal is 300K. How much profit is gonna come from each of those? Maybe you split that into thirds. Maybe you have some indication that one's probably gonna produce a little more than others, but you can kind of break that down. I think those are perfect.
Okay.
Totally.
Yeah, so, my 2023 business plan, I wish I could do the last one, but I couldn't, but, my priorities have changed. I'm a newer agent, so like I'm learning every year on like what type of traction I'm getting.
Yeah.
But more than anything, my farming has really been working, and then I just kind of, it's just interesting, I just wanted to share with everyone, it's interesting how your priorities can shift depending on, you know, like I'm not, you know, I don't know really, I don't have like a past to like base it off of. So it's just interesting how like I found a lot of traction at the open houses I've had with my listings this year, and like the amount of buyers and even other listings I've procured from that. So I put open house as well as my next priority, and then my database and all the events that I host in my farm and then with Keller Williams. So yeah,
That's awesome.
that's my vibe, yes.
Love it. So it's changed a little bit. It sounds like it's changed a little bit over the time that you've been doing real estate. You've kind of tweaked those a little bit.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see that, because I just didn't know that it could change, like, oh, this is working for me, so I'm gonna really capitalize on that, so.
Yeah. So, and the things that work are usually things that are more fun for us, right? Or at least it gives us more energy when we feel that traction, right? So that's awesome. Love it. Okay, anyone else want to share what their priorities are? Jesse, are your priorities? All right. Okay, so got your 3 priorities. Now, what we've got to do, so we're gonna want to check our priorities. So those 3 priorities that we've got, make sure they're measurable, and they are, if we do each of those things and we nail them, we're for sure going to get to our goal. Okay, so we got to make sure that those things are going to add up. These are going to be your things that are your top 20%. These are your big rocks that are going to make sure you get to your goal. So you don't want to put little tasks, little things that you can delegate out or find time to do later. You want to do the big rocks. So now let's break them down into strategies. So one of your like database is one of your priorities. How do we break that down? What are the 5 strategies we're going to use with our database to make sure that we absolutely nail that priority and get to our goal? So go ahead and at least on the first one, we're going to come up with 5 strategies. One thing that I did get that was Jay Papasan and Wendy Papasan approved was if it's only 3 items, and those are the most important things, we'll leave those. We don't need to add some fluff to get to 5. You want the main points, the things that absolutely have to happen for us to hit that. So I did get permission from the Papasans themselves. Because sometimes I feel like I fluffed it up a little bit, and then I wasn't as connected to each of those items. I'm like, yeah, if they don't, it doesn't really matter, which kind of hurt the rest of the GPS. It's a workshop. They're just working away, you know? Looks like you're all working away, so I'll let you go. Whoever gets their first 5 strategies, you mind sharing them with us? I'll share mine too. Yeah, I'm gonna share mine just to see if it helps. So lead generation is my first priority. So my strategies with that are our KPIs, key performance indicators. So that's 100 contacts a week, 4 appointments a week, and then 1 listing and 1 buyer taken each week. And then we've got number 2, 2 hours of lead generation daily, 30 minutes of lead follow-up daily. Open houses, everyone on my team has different goals. Mine is 1 a month. Some of them are 2 a month, some are 4 a month. And then social media is getting out a quarterly market update, having a quarterly market update. So those are the five lead generation strategies that we're using. Anyone else willing to share their first priority and the strategies they found? You're still working on your first one, or you've kind of slowed down to the priority 2 and 3? Okay, awesome. Get an idea. I know sometimes it can take a second. Hopefully we've thought about it a little bit, but you'll probably tweak it a little as you go. Okay, who's willing to share strategies on one of their priorities? I want to hear how you guys laid it out. What your absolute must-do items are. Hey, yeah,
So on one of my priorities, it was one, for me and our team is getting the information I need and sorting it out and doing the work for them and make it simplified. And then sharing that on a Google Drive, so we have a way to monitor and keep notes and everything,
awesome,
and then review and discuss those items on a quarterly basis.
awesome. Love it. Hey. Perfect. So you've got, those sound like they're very specific items that are gonna be done daily or weekly or monthly to make sure that you're nailing those.
Yep.
Awesome. Love it. That's gonna set you up perfect for the next step. Anyone else wanting to share their strategies for their GPS? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
For my first priority, which is the geo farming, is staying consistent with marketing flyers, whether that's a home valuation or open house flyers or like door knocking people about like recent listings that sold and the listings that have in that area. And then hosting neighborhood friendly events and then pop by gifts for the holidays. Sorry. Capitalizing on my listings there and then marketing with signage and more flyers, I guess. I think I can get more specific, but I don't know, I can need help with getting more specific.
Yeah, well, and the test is if you do each of those things, will it for sure get you to that goal? It sounds pretty good. Is there one specifically that you want to talk through to see if we can make it more specific?
Yeah, I guess marketing with signage and more flyers, like, yeah, like what does that mean? Like, I guess I kind of run out of ideas on what to say, like, there's only so many times I can say, like, this home recently sold. And maybe it doesn't even need to be about real estate, it can be like, oh, like, what's a good pumpkin pie recipe, so maybe something like that. If anyone has any thoughts, I'm like, I wanna say. Okay, but yeah. Okay, cool, yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I would say, so let's say, I don't know exactly, are you thinking, so one thing that I know some people have implemented is when they take a listing, instead of putting up 5 signs, they put up 25 signs. And what that does, especially if it's got your face on it, it's gonna make sure people notice it, you know, and the next time you do it, wow, that goes everywhere. And every time you do it, it does kind of help your branding, right? So it could be that, and maybe it's a number of signs that you're putting out, or if it's flyers, okay, how many times are we gonna get those to those people? How many, you know, are we gonna do it once a month? Are we gonna do it twice a month? What does that look like so that we can just nail it every single time? Awesome. Cool. Anyone else want to share their priorities or strategies? Okay. Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna say, routine, just sticking to routine and just getting a schedule. It's hard to, you have a bunch of things coming at you, and if you could just stick to the schedule, the results will hopefully, you know, start to see those. It's not as creative and fun as some of the, you know, things that I'm talking about, but the routine side of things. Learning itself.
Totally. Is that one of your priorities or strategies? It could be either. I'm just curious.
It's a strategy.
Awesome.
But I guess both, really.
Totally.
So it's kind of broad, but yeah, something that I think in life can be you know, fruitful. So
Totally. So yeah, and the way that we can make that specific is just make sure you know that. What does that mean? Does that mean, okay, I have to wake up at this time? I have to be at the office at this time? I have to have 2 hours of lead generation, whatever that means to you, that's most important to make sure you hit the goal. Just put a number next to it so that you can always track it. So that's awesome. Yeah, but it's not about selling real estate, it's about following the schedule. So, okay, awesome. I'm gonna share a couple of mine and then we're gonna move on. Unless any of you want to share, just let me know. So providing a world-class customer experience. I just want to give you an idea of how we break it down. So providing a world-class customer experience. So we have our weekly client updates. That's one of ours, is nailing our weekly client updates. We have 3 days throughout the week that we call and give them updates, different members of our team. Call all buyers on Wednesday. That's just something we do. We call all of our buyers Wednesday, find out what they've seen, and if they want us to carve out some time for them on Saturday, make sure that we've got the time for them. That helps us protect our time. It helps us move our buyers down the road. Doing CMAs daily, so we send an email out a CMA every day. We practice the promise script. I'm sure you guys have probably heard of that. The promise script is an awesome way to get additional referrals through our providing world-class customer experience. And then our investor experience system that we're updating. to make sure that we're providing weekly deals to our investor clients and getting additional opportunities for them. So each of those things, if we do all of those, will it provide a world-class customer experience? We're pretty confident that it will. They want communication, they want more opportunities, ways to build wealth through real estate. They want to know what their home is worth. Those are all good things that are going to provide that, right? So you kind of break it down. Okay, anyone else want to share theirs? Okay, now we're going to switch over to the 411. So the 411, who knows the difference between GPS and a 411? Okay, so GPS, this is your one-page business plan. This is typically going to be annual. Some people will add a 5 or 10-year goal at the top. That's okay too. But typically this is going to be your annual goal. So this is going to be annual. It breaks down everything that you need to nail. We normally are going to refresh these every 90 days. So every quarter, you're going to go refresh your GPS, see, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what are we going to change? This also helps to keep you on track, because at least my mentor, he always taught me to build a bolt-on box. And that just meant we put a little box off to the side of our GPS or on the back. And that would be all those shiny things that we saw that we wanted to implement in our business. We would add them into our bolt-on box. So we put them on the back of the paper. And what that meant is we're not going to forget about them, but we're not going to take action on them immediately because they're not part of our plan. So if someone calls us and says, hey, I've got this great system, it's going to bring you all these extra leads, it's going to be amazing. We would put it on the back of our GPS. Hey, we want to look into this. And then we would review that every 90 days rather than just constantly changing the plan up. Because we don't really know whether this is going to work until 90 days has gone by, we've got a little more data, right? Once you act on it consistently, then we'll know whether it's, whether it's working and what we want to tweak. You'll constantly be making adjustments. So that's what the GPS is. And the GPS, okay, the GPS is also going to inform us of what we're going to put on our 411. So 411 is the other one. This is monthly. So this is more of a monthly tracker and a weekly tracker. So this one, you can see, so I gave you one. On one side, it has a slightly more complicated 411. Maybe not complicated in a bad way. It just gives you prompts, which sometimes are helpful and sometimes make it, maybe more complicated. So you can kind of decide. But the one that's got additional things on it, it'll kind of guide you through it. So it says, okay, your 411 action goal worksheet, you're going to put your annual goal there. So that shouldn't be hard. We'll steal that from the GPS. What is your annual goal? So $300,000, whatever your annual goal is, you'll put there. It does give you a prompt for your net income that you want, total units sold, number of listing and buyer appointments that you need. Does everyone know how many listing and buyer appointments they need? If not, let's check on that. So that was kind of within that's in the economic model of the MREA, right? So one other thing, these resources are still on the Home Hub. Go to kwhomehub.com. At the very top, it says to get your business planning materials. So if you weren't here last week for the economic model, it'll walk you through, okay, here's what I want my income to be, my net income that I'm going to bring home. How much GCI do I need? How many buyer appointments do I need? And how many seller appointments do I need? That's kind of what it boiled down to. So if you don't know that, check that out. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to help you out with it. But you're going to put in your annual goals. So go ahead and fill that in. What are your annual goals? We're just going to move those from your GPS.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Well, obviously.
So you put in your income, your units sold, how many contacts you need in your database to be able to get there. Your listing and buyer appointments for the year. Then we're going to break that down into monthly goals, which that's going to be pretty dang easy math. So we're just going to take the amount of annual appointments that you need, divide those by 12. That's going to give you your monthly goal. Some would say you should divide it by 11, because that'll give you, 1 month off throughout the year, which hopefully we can all take a month off throughout the year. Yeah, put in what your listing and buyer appointments need to be, how many contacts you're gonna add every single month. And these are kind of prompts. If you have different monthly goals, you can also add in your personal ones. That's why I say sometimes it helps to have the additional prompts and sometimes it gets in the way. Feel free to cross it out if you want to put different things on there. Because you can also add your, if you have a personal goal, this would be a great place to put it. So you can add your monthly goal is to have 8 listing appointments and 8 buyer appointments, then add 30 contacts to your database. And then it can also be to, I don't know, go to each of your kids' football games or whatever. Date night every week. So that's just math. We're gonna break those down. And then at the bottom of the 411, that's where we go into our weekly goals. So we're just gonna drag those down. Now your weekly goals should look a whole lot like your strategies. So if your strategy is 2 hours of lead gen daily, add that to your weekly goal. And these are literally gonna be things, so it's gonna look like a to-do list, but it's gonna be more of a priority list. It's gonna look like different tasks you have to do, but really it's gonna be, these are the most important things. The top 20% that you have to do to make sure you hit your goals should be on your weekly 411. And these items are actually gonna go into your calendar. So you got your GPS, your 411, and then those items are gonna funnel into your calendar. That's how you'll know they're important to you, because they're on your calendar. So the way to think about it, maybe I should get quieter while you're ready. Way to think about it. What are your personal and business goals? What would you need to accomplish this month to feel like you're on track for the year? And what do you need to accomplish each week such that by doing it, you could hit this month's goal? We're breaking it down into smaller pieces. Make sure that they're your big rocks, the things that are actually going to move the needle. All right, how are we doing? Did you get your week 1 filled in with your commitment items? Awesome. You mind sharing them? Anyone want to share their items? Okay, well, go ahead and add them on there. And you want to look at this every single day. If you look at it every single day, you'll be reminded of it and you'll make better decisions. So one thing, no matter what you're trying to do, if you track it, if you keep an eye on it, you'll do better. So if you're trying to eat better, just write down what you're eating. Just the fact that you have to write it down is going to change your results, right? So lead generation or business building, whatever those things are that you need to be doing, most of us it's lead generation. If you track it, it gets better because you don't want to write in a bunch of zeros every day. You want to have something to report, so it'll help you. Okay, so a couple quick things from Jay Paxson himself. Send your 411 weekly to your accountability partner. You know who your accountability partner is? You got someone like that? If you don't, let's find one. This might be someone that you hire, it might be a coach that you hire, it might be a friend that you have, they might be in or out of the real estate business. it really doesn't matter. Someone that's gonna be honest with you, spouses are sometimes more difficult accountability partners, but some work really great that way too. So whatever works for you, send it to your accountability partner so they know that you did it and they can review it. The things you're gonna go over are, what were your goals last week with your accountability partner? These are the kinds of things. So these are also the questions you're gonna ask yourself. What were your goals last week? How did you do? How do you feel about it? Based on how you did, what is your new goal and what do you need to do now? So are there any changes we're gonna make? Is there anything that might keep you from meeting these new goals? Such an important question. If you failed to do one of those items this week, what's the chances that you're gonna fail to do it next week if nothing changes? Probably the same things that got in your way this week will get in next week. So let's figure out what was the reason I didn't do that, and how can we put up a safety rail so that we don't have that issue next week. And then identify any solutions that are going to support those. So just review how it went and make new commitments for the following week. They should be pretty similar. You're going to be looking at very similar items every week because we know what the plan is, and we're going to nail that every single week. Jay says the only reason we set goals is so that we know how to behave now. So we're bringing it into the now. What do we need to be doing now to make sure that we're going to get where we want to go? One interesting thing that I thought at the top of Jay's 411, he showed us, he put his top 3 values on the top of his 411. I thought that was super cool because that helps make sure that you're on track. You should also do that same thing on your calendar, make sure that it matches those top 3 values. And I'll tell you what his works. I thought it was interesting. Impact, family, and abundance. So anything that he did that wasn't in alignment with impact, family, and abundance, he would change at that point. So make sure you know what your values are and maybe try adding them on your 411, see if that impacts the decisions that you're going to make. And one quick thing he added, when you're putting your values on there, he said, ask what you've given up for those values. What price have you paid to be 100% committed to those values? You were committed to going to your kids' sports games. What did you give up for that? Like, what were you willing to give up to that? Maybe that was going to dinner with a friend that you really like to go to dinner with. Maybe it was, something else. But if you want to find out what your values are, look at what you are willing to sacrifice for. Make sure your 411 is your 20%. Not everything matters the same. Make sure that these items go on your calendar. So that the items that are at the bottom of your 411, make sure they go on your calendar. Your calendar is a reflection of your values and your goals. One thing that he touched on, because this is a priority list, not a task list, he talked about event time, which I'd never really heard of. Event time is results oriented. It's done, so it's results oriented. So it's something that's done once it's done. It's not done once the clock says it's done. It's like done when the item is complete. So he called it, everything's done once the last cow is milked. So if you're milking the cows, you're not done at a certain time. You're done when it's done, right? So these items should really be things they do need to go on your calendar, and there needs to be a commitment that they're done when they're done. We're not following clock time, we're following event time. If you get to your goal without planning, this is from Jay, if you get to your goal without planning, it's a damn miracle. Thought that was funny. And then he touched on that our brains don't think compound. They don't naturally think of the compound effect. We're minute by minute, like from our caveman days, right? So we're just minute by minute. How am I going to get food now? How am I going to survive another day or another hour? So we don't think compound, but we know the benefits of compound thinking. We know the benefits of compound interest and all that. It's these little things that add up. So we have to train our brain and our behaviors so that we're doing those little things that will compound over time. So we have to look at the big picture, not just begin each and every day. Looking at your goals, how many of you were in the room with us last week in this room doing the business planning clinic? Okay, we did a super cool thing. Robin did it. So that explains a lot. She had us put on index cards, she had us write different goals that we had achieved. So different things that we had achieved over the last 10 years. So we all wrote these huge things that we've accomplished over the last several years. We've all come a long way, of course, right? There's a lot of things we want to achieve, but there's a lot of things we've already achieved. And it was super cool. She also had us put in some goals that we hadn't yet achieved, and we added those. And then we shuffled up the index cards. And it was really interesting as you read through it, because you're like, oh yeah, that was cool. I did that. That was cool. I did that. You're kind of flipping through, and then you'd hit one that you haven't completed yet, but your brain didn't feel like you hadn't completed it. It was like, it was just part of that deck of all these things you'd already completed. It really made you think differently. Like, oh yeah, I achieved those, and I'll totally achieve these. You know, when a year down the road, these will all be achieved goals, and I'll have new ones that I want to add. So Jay said, looking at your goals gives you perspective, changes the lens that you see life through. So keep those on the top of your mind. Everything is, I don't know if you guys know who Steve Tobias is, but I actually only know this quote from him because my dad is a friend of Steve Tobias. He's a commercial agent with Keller Williams. But he says, focus on goal achieving, not stress relieving. So super simple. It's all about hitting those goals. It's not about what feels good or what feels good in that moment. It's about goal achieving. And the first thing you do every single day, look at your 411. Look at it every single day. You'll be reminded what's important to you. Remember how you felt when you initially put it together, how connected you were to that outcome. All right. How did we do? You get your 411 in place? Is it ready to send to your accountability partner? Seriously, if you don't have one of those, that's a huge life hack. Make sure you have an accountability partner. Who's willing to share their items on their 411 this week? Doesn't have to be complicated, but I'm curious what you're committed to this week.
I'm gonna make 40 calls this week.
40 calls. Love it. Awesome. That's going to be super productive.
Better than my 20th last week.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's huge. Yeah, what's everyone else going to do?
Get all my contacts in command.
Awesome. Go get all your contacts in command. That's going to open up a lot of opportunities for automated follow-up and all the other systems to work. That's huge. Awesome. Who else? Your chance to plant your flag on the ground. Yeah.
So I'm having a team meeting tomorrow and my team member Brooke is online and so I'm really just going to create a day-by-day list of what we can or what we should do. So anyways, just so we have a schedule and we're more consistent. I keep saying back to basics. We gotta get back to basics.
Awesome. Love it. You got your non-negotiables. You're putting your non-negotiables down.
There you go.
That's awesome. Love
And
it.
I might still throw a few of these for you.
Yeah, go crazy. There's a few extras, so. Brooke's gonna be prepared for a team meeting tomorrow. Love it. Awesome. Yeah, mine is 100 contacts. 100 contacts this week. That's the big one. Okay, anyone else want to share? I'm not certain that food is here yet, so maybe another couple of you should share.
So you're gonna make any of your contacts this week?
Yeah.
Make phone calls?
Yeah.
Or add them to your contacts?
Phone calls, so, yeah, phone calls. Yep. So we do 20 contacts per day. And it really doesn't matter what your goal is, like, whatever your goal is, that you just have to make sure you're making enough contacts for that. You know, everyone's is gonna look different, and it really doesn't matter. We coach a lot of different agents, of course, and some of them, their goal is to do 20 contacts a day. Some are more, some are 30, and some are 3. Literally, some new agents that are so horrified of picking up the phone. I mean, we have some. I learned that from my therapist. I was in therapy and she's so good. When my life is going bad, it's like we're talking about all the dark, deep stuff. And when my life is going good, we talk about real estate. And it's so fun for me. I don't know why, but she's really good at it. And then I'm just like, man, she's like, what are the problems that you're having? I'm like, I can't get agents to make calls. She's like, well, how many calls do you want them to make? I want them to make 20. Well, how many are they making now? 0. She's like, well, why don't you start with 1? And so that just so we kind of started that. So now when agents are brand new, hey, well, we're gonna make 1 call today. That's all you gotta make. And then based on your goals, you can change that up to 3 or up to 5. As long as you set it, not me. I don't want to set anyone else's goals. We gotta be committed to them individually. And then we'll just hold you to making that many calls. So you get to choose it. Authorship is ownership. So as long as you choose the goal and you're committed to it, that works for me.
So those calls, do you stick to your 20% or do you do expireds? Cold calls, is it a combination of everything or just your SOI?
It's a combination. We have a pretty big database, so it takes a lot of time to call through those. But we do other things. We do some farming. We do some, I like circle dialing. I like circle prospecting. So we'll call around our listings and just say, hey, we just got a new listing in your area. Want to see who you might know that's looking to move into the area. And so I like to make those ones. Everyone's a little different.
I had a question because on your 411 here, it says send email of value to contacts. Like so when you're calling your 20 or whatever, what of value are you reaching out to them with?
Yeah. So our database, we always have something to talk to them about. Typically it's an event. So we do quarterly events. We all pretty much have access to quarterly events, right? So we're usually calling about an event. Hey, want to invite you to this. We may be calling with a market update because we do a market update every quarter as well. More than anything, it's not about us. It's about them. So when we're reaching out, we really focus on what's going on with them. If they ask a question, we'll add to it. But really it's, how are you doing? How's your family doing? How's your work going? What have you been doing for fun? And what are your real estate goals or what are your dreams? What are you working towards? What gets you out of bed every day? Stuff like that will really spark those conversations. And then we find out that they have these motivations we didn't even know about. They want to buy a cabin or they want to, whatever it is. We learn a lot by just focusing on them. So we don't always have to come with this huge value that we're adding. We just call them and check in on them. So that's with our database. We're circle prospecting. It's usually about a new listing. And you have a little more swagger. When you got a listing in the neighborhood, it's like, oh, hey, you might have seen that sign go up. We just listed your neighbor's house. And I love those calls. It just feels cool. It feels like you're the authority for real estate in that neighborhood. So it prompts cool conversations that way. So Eladio, did you get food in the back from is our sponsor have food in the back or not yet? Okay, we're ready to go. Geez, I thought I was holding you off from lunch, but okay. Any last minute ahas? Yeah.
Well, not, but I just know that when I have experience with business, you don't necessarily always accomplish everything that you want to, but we just have to pick, what is your pain? So if you don't do what you're going to do, what kind of pain is that going to cause you? And since you're gonna have to give up, like for me, let's just say hypothetically, you can. If I don't make my goal, then I'm gonna have to write a check to some BYU organization or something like that. That's cause me pain. I think you should be upset about it. So
Yeah.
we're blue shirt, maybe you probably not know. There's some people will cause you pain. At least have some sort of motivation.
Love that. Yeah, because some of us think we're motivated by money or by good positive things, which some of us are. We want to go be a billionaire, and that's great. But a lot of times I find that I don't connect to that. I connect more to pain. I want to avoid pain. So figure out, are you pain or are you pleasure that are you more excited to go towards something that you want, or are you more scared to have to feel some sort of pain? That's a great point. And you got to say that out loud to your accountability person. So Awesome, thanks for sharing that. Okay, well, appreciate you guys. It was a good workshop. Went in a few different directions I didn't expect, but hopefully it was worthwhile for you guys. If you need any help, let me know. We've got, I believe, I'm just gonna say it, Introland, I'm pretty sure is our sponsor for today, so thank you guys for feeding us, even though you're not here in the room at the moment. But they take good care of our clients, so appreciate them. And we've got tacos in the back, it sounds like. So thanks, guys. Thank you.